Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the class. Are you all ready? Okay. So we are in third chapter. What is the name of chapter? What is the heading of the chapter? Yes, it is mineral and power resource. Mineral and power resource. So here we have two concepts to discuss, two important main concepts. What are those? Yeah. One is minerals, another one the power resource. The concept mineral already we discussed. What is minerals? Yes, these are the substances, things which is naturally occurs, and this every minerals it have a particular the chemical components. And the physical property will be there in these minerals. These minerals mainly found in rocks. Every rock means we have three important types of rock. In every three important types of rock, we have a different minerals. Almost every rock will be having some amount of minerals there. So not only there, we have minerals even in the water which we drink and the food which we eat. Like in the body, inside our body also we have minerals, but it is not seen, so we cannot see them. So what types of minerals we discussed? Two types of minerals we have. One is metallic minerals, another one non-metallic minerals. Then about the distribution of a mineral in the world and India we discussed. Then the uses and the conservation of minerals and the extraction of minerals. These are the important topics we discussed. Now we will start to discuss the next concept. It's about power resource. Power resource. The power resource. What is the power? Power is nothing but energy, isn't it? The resources which produces energy, or the resources which help us to produce energy, the electricity, or the power. They are called as this power resources. What are those resources? Mainly natural resources or which produces. So we are making use of natural resources with the help of human-made resources to generate the power or energy. Are you getting? So we are making use of natural resources like air, sunlight, and the water, and the geothermal energy. We are making use of the natural resources with the help of human-made things like machines, technology, to generate the power, otherwise the energy. So it's a power resources. So these power resources are mainly we uses in a transportation for vehicle. It's not. The petrol and diesels, it's two important fuels which is important or which requires to make run the vehicles. If you want to ride or drive a vehicle, you require these two important fuels, isn't it? So this fuel you will get from these resources. With the help of these resources, we produce power, energy. So it's called as power resources. Minerals is different, isn't it? Minerals will be very hard in comparing with these things. Minerals will be very hard, but these are the things it will be found in a hard and also even in the liquid. So we produces energy from that, power from that. So the power resources are used in transportation, industries, mainly industries, and buildings, and what are those? Yes, communication. So in these all the fields we are making use of this power resources, and even in the agriculture. The power resources are used in a transportation, example, the vehicles. To run a vehicles, any kind of vehicles, we require the two important resources. One is petrol and diesel, is it not? So these are the power resources. It's a resource. Petrol, diesel is a resource. With the help of the resources, we produce energy. With the help of energy, we run the vehicles. So the resources which produces energy, they are called as power resources. So not only for transportation, in the industries, mainly in the industries, when the industrialization has begun in India before 1 century, ago 1 century, from there we are making use of these resources, power resources. Coal to get a steam, to run the steam engine. Coal, nowadays the petroleum and diesels are making, means they are using to run the machines in the industries. Then the communication. They are, by using these resources, the natural resources like air and wind, we can communicate with others. It's also a resource that produces some energy, is not? Then the agriculture, in the field of agriculture, we are making use of these power resources, like tractors, machines, and sprinkling system, irrigation system. So this all comes under this power resources. So in this power resource we have two types. There are two types of power resources. What are those two types? One is conventional source of energy. Conventional source of energy. Source of energy is power, isn't it? It's power. The conventional source of power or energy. Then another one, non-conventional source of energy. Conventional source of energy, then the non-conventional source of energy. These are the two important divisions or the bifurcation, classification in this power resources. There are two types of power resources. Right on this, we will discuss deeply about these two, conventional source of energy and non-conventional source of energy. Right on that, is it visible? Is it clear? Yes. Is it over? Power resources, the resources which are used to generate the energy, they are called as power resources. Energy is a power. Energy resource, other as power resources. Is it over? Conventional source of energy, non-conventional source of energy. Right on that. Okay. The first division, first classification in under this power resource is a conventional source of energy. Conventional source of energy. So this conventional source of energy is also called as non-renewable. That means if we use this conventional energy, it will be exhausted. We cannot use the resource again because it will not be remain. It will be exhausted. So it takes a more geological time to get renewed, get replenished again. So these are called as non-renewable resources. Conventional source of energy. Conventional. So this conventional is, these sources are being using from many years, from ancient period. So this source have been using from an ancient period. from many years back, thousands of years back, we are using these resources. Old use. From being old age, we have been using this conventional source of energy. It's called as the non-renewable. For example, what is that resources we are using from a ancient period? What is that resources? Like energy resources. The resources which produces energy. What is that resource? Yes, firewood. Firewood we have been using from the ancient period, is not. But not all the conventional source of energy is being used from the ancient period. The only important thing like firewood and coal. Firewood and coal is being used from the ancient period, and recently we start to make use of natural gas and petroleum, fossil fuels. Petroleum, diesel, natural gas. Recently we started to use that. But apart from these two, and we have firewood and coal, which is we have been using from many years back. So this all are the resources which is being used from old, and the non-conventional resources, the recently we got use of that. Recently we are making use of the resources, and they are renewable. If you are using that, you can get the resource again. It can get replenished again. So, but the use of the resources recently we got because of the technology, development of a technology. But these are the things from ancient period we are using. These resources are being using from many years. Many years is ancient period. From the ancient period, these are also called as non-renewable resources. These are also called as non-renewable resources because once if you use this, you cannot get that again and again. So these resources that pollutes the environment, like firewood, if you put a fire into the firewood, you will get a smoke. That smoke that pollutes the environment, that pollutes air. Then like a diesel, petroleum, when it is used in the vehicles, that automatically definitely that pollutes the environment, isn't it? So then coal in the train, in the machines, like in the engine of a train, there, locomotive there, the engine, the train engine, earlier they were using the coal. It was emitting more smoke, isn't it? Even now there in some part of areas they are using, mainly in the industries they are using this coal now. So this coal and the petroleum, diesel, firewood that emits the smoke that directly hurdles, that directly make a problem for the environment, means that pollutes the air and the environment. It pollutes environment. It pollutes environment. And these are the basic uses. Used both as commercial and domestic. These are used as both commercial for getting money, like in a trade activity, in exchanging offer. We are using these resources, conventional sources of energy like petroleum, diesel. the price of petroleum, diesel, it's increases. No, it's used as a commercial, as a factor of exchanging the goods. It's used, and as well as it's also used as domestic purpose, like a firewood. It's used as a domestic purpose. For examples, firewood, natural gas, then fossil fuels. Then you could ask, sir, where is the petroleum and diesel you are getting right? Petroleum and diesel and the coal that comes under this fossil fuels. They are called as a fossil fuels. Because these three means mainly two, like a natural gas, given the natural gas, and this coal and petroleum, natural gas. All these three things get formed in the beneath of earth crust, and under the crust, it gets formed by the dead remains of plants and animals. When it gets decayed there, it gets formed. So these all belong to one category. It's a fossil fuel. The firewood is found on the earth's surface. You know about that. So is that over? Make it fast. We'll discuss one by one. Is that over? Or so you should not write again. Don't write the heading. It's like heading is there. We are discussing. I didn't rub this because we are discussing about this power resource. That's the reason. But again, don't write again and again. When I will be writing about the new things, do not write this again. Once you are writing about this power resource, it's heading. And what are the things we are discussing? And you should be under that. You should write again and again. You should not write. Okay. Then, like a conventional source of energy is mainly the firewood. We'll discuss one by one. Firewood. So this firewood is being under use from a it's been under used from long year back. Around even now also the 80% of people they get a source of energy from the firewood in the villages. Most people who are inhabited in the village, they are poor. It's not everyone, but they are poor and the middle class people. They are depend on the nature things, nature products. So most of them, even now also, they are depend on the firewood to get to cook that and to get a heat, to boil this, to get a warm water, and to keep their body temperature normal. This balance, they are getting the help of this firewood. By getting the fire that is not. Almost 80% of people in a village, 80% of people are getting power resources from firewood in villages. In the villages, almost in the most surface, or most in India mainly, most of the states are having more villages, the number of villages there. 80% of people, they are dependent on this because their activities are primitive and they are dependent on the forest product. Then it pollutes environment. You know about that, the firewood that pollutes environment. Once if you use the firewood, it will be exhausted. Once if it is used, it will be exhausted. So you cannot get that again and again. You need to wait for that for getting a firewood. That means we need to plant a tree, then it takes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, around 30, 40 years to get big tree. Then only you get a firewood is not. So that's not, it's a non-renewable resources. Once if you use this firewood, you cannot get that. Then we discuss about the fossil fuels. What is that fossil fuels? So these fossil fuels that get forms due to the remains of a plant and animals. Remains means dead remains of a plant and animals which goes under the earth crust. It grows under the earth crust means like it will be dead on the earth surface. On the earth surface, suppose when volcano comes and due to this erosion and deposition and weathering process, so it goes under the beneath of earth crust. So as we get inside of earth crust, the heat, temperature, pressure increases. With a great heat, temperature and pressure, is all the organic and inorganic matter that turns into decay. That will get a decay. And this decayed materials that turns into fuel, valuable fuel. It's about fossil fuels. It's a petroleum, coal, and the natural gas you get from this. The remains of plants and animals under great heat, temperature and pressure. Great heat, temperature, great heat, temperature and pressure at great depth of crust, it turns into fossil fuel. So under great pressure, so what are those? Like remains of plants and animals. Under great heat and the temperature and pressure, in the great depth, that turns into fossil fuel. Fossil fuel. So it's a process of getting the fossil fuel. So it takes thousand, means this process goes under, this process of getting the fossil fuel goes under thousands of years. This process, so within 100 or within 50 years we cannot get this. So it requires, it forms over a long geological time, this nuclear like a fossil fuels. So the fossil fuels, the important fossil fuels are petroleum, then coal, then natural gas. You will get a diesel, kerosene, wax and plastic from the petroleum, but petroleum is a main crude oil. Petroleum is a crude oil where we get different things from this. These all are the fossil fuels: petroleum, coal and the gas, natural gas. Right on this. Make it fast. So these fossil fuels are non-renewable resources. As we discussed in the power resources, there is no need of writing again the same point. Is not. So if you are discussing about this firewood, fossil fuel, coal, natural gases, you should understand these are non-renewable resources. There is no need of writing again. You should keep in your mind that these all are non-renewable resources, and these all are pollutes the environment. Every resource things that pollutes the environment, because of that emits a gas and the the smoke. Is that over? Okay. So in another fossil fuel, we will discuss these three. Petroleum. So in among this all the conventional source of energy, petroleum is most used. Almost every population, more than 80% of a population over the earth's surface, they are making use of this petroleum. For what? For transportation, industrial activities, and for other machines and other uses. They have been using this petroleum. And 150 years back, means ago, 150 years ago, we were not knowing about the uses of petroleum. We were not knowing about the use of petroleum. At that time, it was the potential resources. Now it's a developed resources. So no need of worrying about potential developed resources. We'll be discussing about this in the 10th class this time. So now as a petroleum, we will briefly discuss. It has wide range of uses in the world. All over the world, it has a wide range of uses. Wide range is like in the big areas, the most of the people, they are making use of this petroleum. It is used in transportation and industries. Both in transportation and industrial activities, it's widely used, mainly in these two activities. Transportation, and in transportation, that's many. We have three modes of transportation, four modes of transportation, roadways, waterway, airway. These three modes of transportation. In all these three modes of transportation, we are making use of this petroleum. In the roadway, we have railway again. Vehicles, bus, car, and the bike, we are using petroleum there. And the train mainly there. Nowadays, we are using a diesel in the train. So we obtain diesel from the petroleum. Then like a ship, they are using waterway. There also the ship, they are using this diesel, and the planes, jet, they are also using these diesels. Then this petroleum obtained obtained through drilling. You know, we discussed last class about the drilling, is not extraction of minerals. So it's a mineral. Petroleum is one important mineral. So this extracted through the drilling process, and this crude oil will be sent to oil refineries. Then many other resources or minerals will be obtained or created. So here the process of extracting minerals. So this petroleum is obtained through the drilling. Then this crude oil, it's a crude oil. Petroleum is a crude oil. Crude oil is like ore, iron ore, bauxite ore. So in this petroleum we can extract many other things. We can create many other things. It's petroleum. It will be included many things at the beginning when we extract the petroleum through the drilling. Then afterwards it will be sent to the industries, refineries. It's sent to oil refineries. There they extract many other resources. Many other resources will be obtained. So what are those? Like a diesel, petroleum, wax, kerosene, and plastics or other products from petroleum. From the petroleum we get many other things like diesel, petroleum, wax, kerosene, and the plastics are obtained, are produced from this main crude oil, petroleum. So petroleum is also called as the black gold. It is also called as black gold. So because it is having a value, so it's a value. It's having a high value in this economic life. So it's called as black gold. From this petroleum will be extracted many things: diesel, and wax, kerosene, plastics. Every these things are having more value in the life, in the society now. It's mainly in the economic activity. So that reason we call it as a black gold. Then the countries which produces petroleum more, like Iran, Iraq, Arab, Saudi Arabia, these are the leading producers. Left, right. Leading producer are Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. These are the important countries which has deposition of petroleum, and they are the producer of petroleum. They are having deposition as well as producer. They are the leading producer of petroleum in the world. These countries. Right, always? Then we will discuss the coal. Coal is again the another important fossil fuel. So it's also a fossil fuel which get formed due to the dead remains of plants and animals which gets under great heat and great pressure, temperature, it turns into the fossil fuel, the coal. So it's used in industries, transportation, mainly in trains, in the ship. There is used the coal. You might be saw the picture Titanic. There they uses coal to get a steam engine. Earlier the trains like a machine, what do you call it? It's like a train engine. It was running with the help of steam, which they will get it from this burning of coal. So coal, it has types. It has three types. Three types of coal: bituminous, anthracite, and bituminous. These are the three types. The leading producer in India, the states like Orissa, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and Bihar are leading producer. In petroleum in India, we have two places. Right, this point in the petroleum. In India, mainly Assam and Mumbai. It has a deposition of this petroleum. Assam, Big Boy, and Mumbai, High Mumbai. High Mumbai and place in Mumbai, and Assam ali Big Boy and place. So in these two places, we have a deposition of petroleum. And here in the core, the states like Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh, there we have a deposition of these coals. Is that all? Now we have some more to discuss in this conventional source of energy like natural gases, and then about nuclear power. So that's what for this day. Write on this concept.